A high school classroom in Texas is being used as a prayer room, and it's stirring up controversy. Some fear Muslim students are getting preferential treatment. So does it raise legal concerns? Time now for a fair and balanced debate. Mustafa Tamiz is a Democratic strategist and a former consultant for the Department of Homeland Security. And Pastor Robert Jeffers is a Fox News contributor and the senior pastor at the First Baptist Church in Dallas. He joins us from Jerusalem this morning. Thank you both for joining us. So let me go first to you, Mustafa. So you've got apparently the mosque was too far away. The students requested a space inside the public school to pray, and the school afforded it. What do you think of that decision?
Well, it's a non-denominational prayer room, and that exists everywhere across the United States. Big employers provide it. In airports, we have a chapel where people can go pray. So it's not necessarily just for Muslim students. It's for anybody of faith that wants to use a room to communicate with their Creator. So I think this is just hyperbolic and trying to make it about Muslim and creating a controversy where one doesn't really exist.
So, Pastor, I've got to go to you. So the district says that students of all faiths can use it, but it's used almost exclusively and mostly by Muslims. For 30 minutes a day at 2 o'clock, the room is available at this high school. Is this just religious liberty, or do you feel like there's a double standard? Do you feel like Muslim students are afforded here an opportunity in public schools where Christians long ago were not?
I'm going to surprise you by my answer. I believe that as long as students have equal access to this room, it's not a First Amendment issue. And I think we really, as conservatives, need to be careful that we don't pervert the First Amendment like liberals do to use it for their own agenda. I mean, the First Amendment simply says that Congress cannot establish a state church and coerce people to worship in it. It has nothing to say about nativity scenes, Ten Commandment displays, or prayer rooms in the public schools. And the liberal judges have used the First Amendment to try to ban all religious expression. Conservatives should have no part of that whatsoever.
Pastor, before I go back to Mustafa, I've got to press you on that, because, of course, it's freedom of religion. But for Christians, the Bible, prayer, any activity during school time or school resources, the Ten Commandments, crosses, anything, they've been pushed out of the public square and out of public schools for years. So don't you feel like this is a double standard? They're opening the door to Muslim students when Christians have been pushed out.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly that Christians have been pushed out by an absolute perversion of the First Amendment. But we as Christians don't have to push down somebody else's religion. We need to fight for the religious liberty of all Christians. And by the way, that's why I'm so grateful that we have a president like Donald Trump who is going to appoint judges and justices who interpret the law according to what the Constitution actually says and not according to what liberals wish it said. And the Constitution does not prohibit religious expression in public or in the schools.
Well, of course. Mustafa, I want to end with you. When I was in high school in the late 90s, I was a part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We tried to have access. We're told you can't have access to anything during school. It has to be after school if you want to have any religious observances. Do you feel like, would you acknowledge in some sense that administrators have a fear or a concern that they'll look bigoted if they don't give a prayer room to Muslims when Christians long ago have not been afforded that same opportunity?
Well, look, I mean, I worked in the George Bush administration when they were putting the faith-based initiative from the White House. So there was an effort to try to bring more faith into different aspects of public life. And so I agree with the pastor that we need to do more of that to protect people of all faiths, because, you know, we're not like Europe and some of the other places where there's, you know, any kind of faith is looked down upon. We should celebrate faith, and making a room available for people of all denominations is probably the right way to go.
Okay, well, interesting to see how this thing unfolds. As we're going to hear, thank you both for joining us this morning, Mustafa, Pastor Jeffers from Jerusalem.